Hi, I'm Jamie Wright, middle school librarian, and I'm here to help you find your next great book. Today's episode of Middle School Book Talks features books where the main characters hate school. Sahara Special by Esme Raji Codell is a beautifully written book with a fast-moving plot. Sahara loves to write, but she hates participating in class. Ever since the school personnel found letters she wrote to her father saying, "Dear Daddy, please come home," she refuses to feed their paper file with anything else about her, including homework. Her mother is so frustrated with her, knowing she can do better. And she says things like, "Hey, your dad broke my heart when he left, and now you're going to let him take over your brain? Between the two of us, we won't have any working organs left." And Sahara ends up repeating fifth grade. Her new teacher is theatrical and unconventional, and Sahara finds herself interested in school at least a little. But she isn't sure she can be bothered to participate in a system that puts her in special education, where kids tease her and call her Sahara Special without really knowing who she is. There's another kid in her class in special education, Daryl. Daryl yells at the teacher and doesn't do his homework and refuses to cooperate, but there's more to him than that. It's an imperfect story with imperfect people, but so much of it is such a real representation of US schools. It is a gem to read and to see all the details this author captures. 54 Things Wrong with Gwendolyn Rogers by Caela Carter is about Gwendolyn, who lives with her single mom. She discovered a counselor's report about her a while back, and when she read it, she identified 54 different things wrong with herself. She cannot get past them all. She's impulsive and she's quick to anger and she is frustrated trying to follow all the zillions of rules that she seems to keep breaking. School and even her after school program are full of expectations she struggles to meet. And she's upset because many of the adults around her aren't consistent with their own rules, and she can't avoid pointing it out. So when somebody else gets it wrong, that never ends well. She just feels like she has to talk about it, and nobody loves that. Gwendolyn does love horses, and she starts participating in a riding program, but she loses the privilege after another behavior incident. Anyone who has ever felt the injustice of a school system will empathize with Gwendolyn. The Total Tragedy of a Girl Named Hamlet by Erin Dionne is about eighth grade Hamlet, who is definitely not thrilled about her Shakespearean professor parents, especially when they dress up in costume and visit her English class. She also struggles with the fact that her parents decide to send her brilliant 7-year-old sister, Desdemona, to her middle school. Everything about her life is completely humiliating. All she wants to do is hide, especially from anything connected to Shakespeare. I do have to say that as a gifted education specialist, I don't like the portrayal of Desdemona. She comes off like a genius robot instead of like a genius child. Brilliant kids are still kids, right? But I do really appreciate Hamlet's story and how it feels to be her, to be in a family full of high achievers without finding her own strengths. And also, this author is really pretty funny with her tragedy, and that is always a good thing. Forget Me Not by Ellie Terry is about Calliope, who is new in school again. They move around constantly, and Callie's mom puts a lot of pressure on her to fit in at school. Callie has Tourette syndrome, which means sometimes she twitches nervously or makes involuntary sounds. It's not long before other kids are teasing her. Callie's neighbor is named Jinsong, and part of the story is told through his perspective. He thinks Callie is pretty and interesting, but he is a popular athlete and he worries about what other people will think if they know he's her friend. He wants to be inclusive and support Callie, but he also wants to be able to blend in. His struggle as a bystander to bullying is relatable, but Callie's conflict is more interesting, especially since she doesn't have reliable adult support. Because the story is told in free verse or bursts of non-rhyming lines of poetry, the book is a pretty quick read. That's it for today's episode of Middle School Book Talks, Characters Who Hate School. If you're still in search of your next great book, please reach out to your librarian. And remember, a book is always a good idea.